Welcome to What Drives You with your host, Mike Gourdet. Human solution consultant from Seattle, Washington. It is now time to sit back, buckle up for the show that drives the asking question of what drives you. And now your host, Mike Gourdet.
Welcome to What Drives You, the show about why we do the things we do. I'm Mike Gourdet, your host. I'm a human solutions consultant here in Seattle, Washington. On today's show, we are going to go back to our normal process. I have a guest who you might remember from our very first show. It's Nathan Mumm. He's coming back on so we can talk a little bit about a strange situation that we are experiencing through our other project, which is TechTimeRadio. And then we're going to talk a little bit about certainty and uncertainty, which interestingly enough was one of the first things I talked about on the very first show. And then we're going to talk about the question of the day. So stick around. We'll be right back with Nathan Mumm. All right, welcome back to the show. Today's interview, we have a returning guest. We have Nathan Mumm, who was on our first show. Today, he contacted me not too long ago because he wanted to talk about something peculiar that he wants answers for. Hi, Nathan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Mike?
Not bad. So we were having this discussion. What is your question? What did you want to get back on the show for?
Yeah, so I do this radio show with this great co-host, and with TechTimeRadio. So
who is that co-host?
That host, of course, is the lead host of What Drives You, and as the co-host of TechTimeRadio. After a lot of our shows, we go out to either Mexican or pizza after the shows, and we like to have philosophical conversations. And one of the questions that I was doing, very unphilosophical, because I don't really bring that aspect to the radio program. That's your wheelhouse. Thank goodness I bring at least the technology parts of it, because if I had to worry about the looks, I'd lose there too, Mr. Sexy Guy here. So our question that we asked was specifically, we do these commercials.
Yeah.
And we do these commercials. We've been doing them for quite a long time now, probably 4 to 5 months. And so we started out with a commercial for a artist individual down in the Austin, Texas area.
Yeah, that's right. That was our first commercial, right? Was the artist in
Wild, yeah,
New Mexico.
Yep, that's correct. And it was Wild Galleries,
right,
with a WYLD. And so we did this commercial, and we did, "Hey, Mike." And then you always answer, so I can do one right now. So it's like, "Hey, Mike."
Yeah, and I would be like, "Hey, yeah, what's up?"
"Hey, have you heard of blah, 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 blah sponsor?"
Yeah, and then we have this weird chat about it.
Yeah, and then we have this weird chat, and then you sometimes will say something snarky to me, and I'll be like, "That's hilarious," and we'll keep it in there. Or I'll say something snarky that way, and then we kind of get through the email address. And so we did one. Right. And then after we did the one commercial, we're like, okay, that was great. We had another sponsor come on in, and I said, well, here's a couple samples. And we had clearly different samples, because my technology company does an ad on the radio program itself called Elite Executive Services. And it's completely different. It's not a Hey Mike commercial at all, but they said they wanted to do the Hey Mike commercial. So we did two. And then all of a sudden we got another person that came to us, and they said they wanted to do another Hey Mike commercial.
Right.
So I would give them, literally to the point where I was only sending them one of the Hey Mike commercials and like 6 other commercials. And they all would come back to me and say, "Hey, let's do the Hey Mike commercial." So then it became so popular that as our sponsorship grew, then essentially one of our sponsors just wanted to do with the Hey Mike commercial. And then they wanted to have Mike's mesmerizing moment be the sponsor. So our question is, what the heck did we do on these Hey Mike commercials that make it so attractive that everybody wants a Hey Mike commercial?
You know, that's the funny thing, because I don't have the answer for that.
Well, you should. You're the expert. You're the psychology expert. So you need to help me out here.
Yeah, I get that. But here's the thing. It was just something that we did, right? We just did this, and this is one of those sort of strange things that happen in the technology, radio, social media world. It went viral, right?
It kind
So
of did, yes.
we did this stupid commercial, and suddenly everybody wants us to do this format of this stupid commercial when they pay us to do commercials.
Correct.
And it's become known as the Hey Mike commercial.
It's literally now, I just now say, hey, Mike, in front of whatever commercial we do.
Yeah.
And they literally come on back. And you've seen the information that we have that, where we literally have people. Now, even one of our last sponsors that we had, it was a little bit more irritating than normal. And he essentially took the Hey Mike script and he wanted it all written out, because we never planned to do it.
Yeah, it was just something that we did off the cuff the
Correct.
first time we did it off the, and suddenly all these people are wanting us to do it, and that guy even wrote a script for us to do.
He did. And so and he didn't even like the way that we would do it. And then I mispronounced a couple words. And so he even wanted us to go back in, and specifically he phonetically spelled out exactly how to pronounce the words that he wanted in his ad itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it was the same format.
But it was in the same, but it was still the Hey Mike. It was the Hey Mike. Here we go. Here we got this dialogue. So the Hey Mike commercials, we just did 2 more this week. So literally on the episode that we are coming up and running for Tech Time Radio, we have 5 ads of our 8 ad run times, and all of them are Hey Mikes.
I know. Isn't that weird? So the thing that I would like to do would be able to go back to these people and ask them, why did you choose this? Because I mean, we could speculate that it's something that maybe has something to do with nostalgia, because remember, we related it a little bit to some of those old commercials like Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. If anybody, if
Jack Roberts, I won't be undersold.
Yeah, that's right. I won't be undersold. All the prices that are insane guy. So maybe there's this nostalgia piece to it, because there is a little bit of reflective nostalgia there.
You know what I really want to know?
What?
Why is it the Hey Mike commercial and not the Hey Nathan? So that let me just tell you that
because nowhere in the commercial does anybody go, Hey Nathan.
So I'm sad, because whenever anybody does a sponsorship for Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm, and I really try to emphasize with Nathan Mumm, it's like, no, give me a Hey Mike commercial. I want Mike.
Right, a Hey Mike commercial. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know exactly what the draw is. I mean, this is something that we just did off the cuff, because we don't know anything about making commercials, right? But
okay, you think that, right? But we have literally companies that are doing their very first commercial for their company. And these are major, large corporations that got software developers and apps. These are people that are clearly making way more money than we're going to do on our radio program per se. But I mean, they are asking for us to create their first commercial that they're going to put everywhere in the world, and it's coming out with a Hey Mike.
And it's a Hey Mike commercial. So, like I said, the only thing that I can do is break this down into what I think is going on. And again, there's maybe that nostalgia piece. It's probably has something to do with the dynamic between the 2 speakers, which is you and me. It could be you, because you come off very silly most of the time, and then I'm kind of this deadpan sarcastic guy, right? That's kind of
that's how the commercial is geared for.
It's kind of geared that I'm like this, whatever, jokey. You know, I'm not really interested.
You're a curmudgeon.
Yeah, I'm a curmudgeon.
That's right.
So there's the humor aspect. Whatever it is, it's created in these folks. It's created something that got their attention. And that's why I would love to go back to these people and be like, hey, why did you pick this format for this show? Because we did that one for that comedian guy, and he loved it, right? He was just like, this is the greatest thing.
A comedian in Boston,
a
right?
professional comedian.
A professional comedian asks us to create his commercial. And we're like, okay, well, do you want us to do it this way? Do you want us to do some clips from your shows? Do you want to do this? No, I want to do that Hey Mike commercial.
Yeah, yeah, and he loved it, right? He
And
thought
he
that
loved
was
it.
so funny.
Yeah, it's now on. If you go to his website, it's actually one of his opening deals that he plays when he introduces himself with video segments.
Oh, does he?
It's a Hey Mike, yeah. So he's literally. It was maybe the nicest thing about it is we just let everybody have all the royalties they want. We're like, here you go, you can just distribute this wherever you want. Maybe we're just such great marketing people that we should be charging more. But yeah, no, I mean it literally goes to these people's marketing campaigns.
Yeah,
We got Linear Electronics, right? There's Linear Electronics place that we did this ad for, and I've seen a couple other ads that they had from other podcast people, and our ad is on their website and being used. Not the other people. They have like little subsections of it, but our ad is the one that they actually use for Linear Electronics too.
So it's what it, from the human perspective, the only thing that I know is true is that it did something to create attention for them. It created some sort of, we hit the right pleasure center in these people's brains, and now they all want to do it, which again is kind of a strange thing because there was no planning involved. I kind of relate it to, like, I don't know if anybody's going to remember this, but the Pet Rock.
I remember the Pet Rock. Yeah.
You remember the Pet Rock?
Yeah.
And it's also kind of like these
Pogs, kind of Pogs. Remember
yeah,
Pogs?
Pogs. Yeah. And in our technology ages, it's like viral cat videos. It's just something that someone does, and then and for some reason it becomes like a virus, and it spreads. And again, I would love to go back and talk to these people and ask them what they thought was the reason behind this sort of Hey Mike phenomenon. Because
I'd love to give you the time to do that, but we get normally 2 more each week. So I know we're just so busy pumping out the Hey Mike videos that we don't even have any time to do any research.
I know, we just had to do one right before the interview, right?
Yep, right before this. We did. The only reason that I'm on this show because we did another 30-minute Hey Mike video, right? And we talked about, hey, let's bring it on.
So yeah, I mean this is one of those things that constitutes one of those outlying viral type of things, and really I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that is the significant piece for why people want this.
Is it the same? Could it be the same piece that why people like Donald Trump?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know where that question came from, but
well, since this is of course on the inauguration day of our new president, I was just kind of curious on, there's many different patterns of brain cells that people seem to like Donald Trump with. So I was just kind of curious if this was the same.
I don't think so. I think it's more, it's a little different there. It's
a little different.
There's reasons why Trump was as popular as he was in 2006. There's a reason that he was elected president, and one of those reasons is the absolute level of confidence that he portrays. Okay. And I'm going to talk about. I've talked about this before, and this isn't the only reason, but I think this is one of the most powerful reasons. He was doing things that was directly opposite from everything that we know of as common politics back in the 2016
yeah, he was going to be he's everything against political people, right?
Well, yeah, his behavior was completely against it, and one of the big things is that confidence level. And human beings respond to certainty very powerfully, and there's been Harvard studies, I think Yale did a study about confidence. And when you can have somebody give completely false information, and if they do it with a lot of confidence, they're going to get more belief from their audience than somebody who is telling 100% true facts in an unconfident manner. That's how powerful this confidence piece is. So one of the things about Trump is he always came across as super confident. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit more stuff today later, but I don't think I don't think that resonates with why the Hey Mike commercials are so popular. I think with the Hey Mike commercials, it has to do with uh, either some sort of a nostalgic piece, or it's just our dynamic is just funny enough that people really want to engage that platform the way we do it. And
So maybe we're just like the Smothers Brothers, but with the new version. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, that's actually a very good um, um, analogy. Because the Smothers Brothers, they had Tom and what was the other guy's name? I can't remember his name. It was Tom Smothers and oh
Uh,
shoot,
is it Harry? Larry?
no, it wasn't Harry.
Mary?
Or no,
Hang
but
on a
one
second. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I'll Google it because I'm a tech guy. So let me take a look here. Smother Brothers.
Smothers Brothers.
Smother Brothers. Their names are Tom Smothers and Dick Smothers.
Yeah, Tom and Dick. So yeah, from those, this is why I say it's the nostalgia piece, because the comedy teams back in the day, Tom and Dick Smothers, uh, Laurel and Hardy, um, Abbott and Costello. You had the one that was kind of goofy, and then you had the straight man, right? Which they played off of each other, and it's the same thing with Jerry Lewis and his guy.
Jerry Lewis and the Jerry Lewis kids.
No.
Jerry Lewis telethon man.
No, who is the guy that Jerry Lewis played off of?
Is that the black dude?
No, we're gonna have to cut this out.
Hang on.
This is gonna be cut.
Hang on.
Forget I talked about Jerry Lewis at all, because you just went somewhere that didn't need to go anywhere.
I did. Jerry Lewis. Hang on here. Jerry Lewis and Jerry Lewis. Dean Martin?
Yeah.
You couldn't think of Dean Martin?
I couldn't think of Dean Martin. So
Okay.
Jerry and
All right.
Dean, right?
Okay.
So those comedy duos, they had a specific style, which could be why we're getting a lot of traction on it, because there's a nostalgia piece to it. That's my guess. That's my guess, is that there's a dynamic between the two of us that sparks some of that nostalgia. That
clearly it's not our looks, because it's only radio, right?
Well, it's not your looks anyway.
Okay. All right, I got you. Okay,
yeah. But I think it has something to do with the way you come in, because you come in with this high energy stuff. You're very Cal Worthington like.
Oh, okay.
And then here I am. I'm just like this. I don't want to be bothered type of person. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Yeah, so I've never heard of that or whatever.
We should try a reverse psychology just one of these times, and have it be the Hey Nathan commercial.
Yeah,
and then put it out there. Maybe we don't even just do a fake version of it, and then we set those to the people that are asking for ads. So there's a Hey Mike version and there's a Hey Nathan version, and see which one they choose.
Yeah. You're really wanting to get on that bandwagon, aren't you? You really want somebody to be like Nathan. I want the Hey Nathan commercial.
You know what? It's because I cry at night, because I'm like, why don't they like me? Why do they always choose my co-host?
Yeah, well, that's just some ego stuff going on, and whatever.
Is you can take a look and let me know what my ego is, because everybody that I know of likes the Hey Mike stuff. It's always the Hey Mike stuff. So yeah. You're the funny guy, so you have to be the funny guy. So
I don't know. It could be. Now the name has nothing to do with me, right? The name. The Hey Mike commercial. That's the way these all begin. It's just a moniker. It's just a name. It's not necessarily that I'm doing it. It's we're doing it. They just look at that opening statement. Hey Mike, because that's what you do. You come on the radio and you're like, hey Mike, and I'm like, yeah, what do you want? Right?
Yeah, but I just think of the poor Wendy's person that made the "Where's the beef" commercial, right? He probably was really excited about the commercial. He does this whole commercial for Wendy's, right? And then you have this lady that says, "Where's the beef?" And then all of a sudden there's "Where's the beef" t-shirts and he's like, "Dude, I just made a Wendy's commercial, but "Where's the beef" got so popular that there was "Where's the beef" everything.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of what's going on with that. So the good news is that we hit on something that is popular right now with our sponsors. The next piece is that it's going to run its course and nobody's going to want "Hey Mike" commercials after a certain amount of time.
We can't let that happen because this is our only moneymaker in the show right now, or the "Hey Mike" commercials. So we gotta have to take it out for as long as we can. We'll make t-shirts of it. We'll continue to do it. Hey Mike's segments.
Maybe hopefully it rides the wave for a while. But this is one of the things about marketing and advertising that is a variance that nobody can predict. You never know what's going to hit with the audience. So you try different things, and we just happened to do something that was an instant hit with our sponsors, and we are getting more sponsors because of those commercials, right?
Yep.
We're also getting more sponsors because our radio show is popular too. So you don't have to feel bad there because our radio show is getting popular, and I don't think that has anything to do with the
and it is Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm.
That's right. You can say that 5 more times for the people on the podcast. It's Nathan Mumm. You had the idea for the radio show.
No. I just giving you a hard time. It doesn't really bother me as much as I say it bothers me, but I do like it. I actually get a smile every single time when we had our sponsors and they specifically wanted the Mike's mesmerizing moment. That made me actually really happy. It said that I picked the right co-host to be a part of our show.
Well, that's good. And I really can't give you an answer as to why that is. It's for me, as somebody who studies human behavior all the time, I really find it fascinating that this really weird thing that we did is so popular. And that's one of those things that I want to know why. I want to know what it is, what specifically did we do that created this popularity with a very off the cuff. We didn't even have a script. We just here's what I think it was just like you telling me what the company was.
Yep.
And then you just started with this whole "Hey Mike," and I was like, yeah, what do you want?
Yeah, that was it. And then I just said, okay, hey, you got to choose a piece of art that you like. So just talk about one of the pieces of art that you like. And you're like, I don't even know what the art is. And you just take a look at a picture and you liked one. And I was like, okay. So you just added that little 2 bits in there. And then it was like a boom, boom conversation.
Yeah. So, that's one of the things that I find fascinating about human behavior is that no matter how much knowledge you have, no matter how much I know, or how much anybody knows, there's always something that's going to be surprising and new and interesting to think about. And this I think is one of those. From just talking to you about it, I think probably the most logical thing is this nostalgia piece. It's a reminder of days gone by. That's my take on it.
You're probably absolutely right, because everything that you say regarding the psychology of people, I take it as gospel.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I can be wrong,
No, you're really good at that stuff. That's it. You're really good.
Well, thank you.
Kind of like Trump is on getting banned from Twitter.
Oh man, you're just gonna keep throwing stuff in there, aren't you?
You said you may be talking about Trump, so I just want to make sure all these lead-ins are to the other subject that you're going to be talking about. This is all the teasers that we're talking about on all these great marketing aspects. So make sure you stay tuned more, because I think Mike has a subject coming on up.
That's
on what makes Donald Trump tick.
Not quite. We're gonna talk a little bit about the question of the day, and it. I think it's probably because of what's going on that I got this question. But
what's the question of the day?
Well, the question of the day is Trump crazy? That's really it. No,
Okay.
and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I
Like
think.
mentally crazy, but look at the Joker. If you ever watch Batman, like the Joker's crazy, right?
Yeah, these are all representations of insanity.
Okay, and
So
so he's like the number one popular. If you ask the number one villain, it's normally always the Joker that comes on up, even in the DC comics, right?
I don't know. I don't follow that stuff enough, but
Oh, I'm nerdy enough.
most people do know who the Joker is, and most people, I don't think most people know how um psychotic the Joker is in the comic books, because most of us reference either the movies or the TV show, which was a very dialed down, sort of uh, character. But in the comic books, the Joker is very, very much more vile.
Okay. So now, on what drives you, you're not allowed to probably have alcohol when you're driving, are you?
Well, no, I don't drink and drive. I don't
You don't
drive.
drink?
I don't drive when I'm doing the podcast either.
We're doing the podcast, okay? Because I was just thinking of what drives you. That's probably, I mean, the best part about our show. Not that I want to make you feel bad, but the best part is that we drink on the air. So
yeah, I do like the whiskey tasting on our show. That was the draw for me to be the co-host.
Is that what the draw was? Okay, that's good. And now I got the benefit of the Hey Mike commercials. That if you figure out why they are so popular, then you let me know. But let's not do that for, how about you wait another like 4 or 5 months, because we're just getting a really good string of these Hey Mike commercials. I don't want to put anything in jeopardy. So let's run the course until all of a sudden they start coming up with new ideas.
Okay. Well, I do think that that's what I said is probably the most accurate.
Okay.
So anyway, all right. So I'm going to say
I'd really like you to do a deposition and a 20-page document so that we can have discussion about this. I'm really looking forward to that. That's what you're going to do on this research, right?
No.
There's the Hey Mike.
There it is. No.
There it is. No.
That's the Hey Mike. No.
All right. This has been fantastic, Mike. I really appreciate you having me on your show. I really enjoy listening to your podcast. It is considered my number 2 favorite podcast of all time that I've listened to. Number 1 is Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm. And number 2 is What Drives You with Mike Gray. Okay. And then number 3, I guess, would be Joe Rogan. So Joe really? has to, he has to slide up. He's pretty close to you, but he's there. And then I got that Dave Ramsey guy that I get tons of stuff from that my wife wants me to listen to. But okay, so you're number 2. You're number 2.
Out Joe and Dave, huh?
Yeah, you're number 2.
That's just because you want to keep me happy, so I'll keep coming on and doing these weird commercials that everybody.
No, but my number 1 is Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Okay. Technology news of the week.
Yeah, I think everybody got that, man.
Okay. have a good night, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with our normal segment and then the question of the day, which we might have already spilled the beans on. So stick around. We'll be right back. And that was how we try to get through some things in our projects. So thanks again, Nathan, for showing up. We're just going to put that label on and move on. So thanks again. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit more about certainty and uncertainty. This is an interesting topic because, again, we are at a very uncertain road in our daily life, and that would be, today is the inauguration of our new president, and there's been a lot of craziness around this. And I just wanted to reiterate some things about what certainty is and uncertainty. Human beings, their basic need is one of certainty. We have a very deep fear of the unknown, and we want things to be certain. And when things are not certain, it can create fear and doubt and create some unusual behaviors. And what we're seeing again is due to this uncertainty that's being generated by all the stuff that's going on. And that's not the only reason why, but that is a reason why. Now, the interesting thing is that we also value uncertainty to an extent. And what I mean by that is variety. We want things that are uncertain in our life, but again, we want to be able to control that, or we want to mitigate it so that it doesn't completely derail everything. So, a significant portion of the population are okay with surprises. There is a significant portion of the population that don't like surprises. And that's how we can kind of show this idea about uncertainty and certainty. And again, this is a personality trait. This is also something that, depending on uh, some of the templates that you're running in your belief systems, how certain you need things to be. There's also some crossovers here. There is an uncertainty of certainty. Okay. And as I was saying, as I was talking with Nathan, he brought up Trump. One of the, I think, when Trump was running for president the first time, one of the things that I think was one of his most valuable uh, gifts, I guess you can say, was his unadulterated certainty about what he said. And human beings respond well to that. There's been studies done in Harvard that show that if you can say something with confidence, you have more influence over an audience than saying something with unconfidence. So it basically boils down to, if you're saying something completely untrue but very confidently, you will actually get more influence on somebody, on an audience, than somebody who's giving you facts and is not saying it with certainty. And so this plays into a lot of different things in our day-to-day lives, like car salesmen or salespersons in general. The more certain that salesperson is, the more influence they're going to have on you, because there's a sense of authority, there's a sense of certainty. And this plays out in a lot of our fights. There's one of the things that, when I was thinking about this the other day, I was walking and I was thinking about this, is religion versus science. Now, I'm not here to tear down anybody, but what I wanted to say was that these two organizations or ideas or whatever, they're founded on two different things. So we have religion, which a foundational piece of religion is faith, and faith is basically certainty without proof. Right? I mean, that's when we say you have to have faith, that's what we're saying. You were saying that you need to be certain about something regardless of the evidence that is lacking. So that's why a belief in God, or if you're from a different religion, why that's important. When we look at the scientific aspect, the scientific aspect is based around uncertainty. We kind of think that it's about proving something correct, but really the scientific method is about proving what's not correct, or what is not going on. So when we come from a scientific background or a scientific approach, we are not trying to find certainty. We're trying to find established patterns of things. And then that's how we go from a hypothesis to a theory to a law. Okay. So there's a lot of uncertainty in between those things. And it's kind of an interesting thing that we're fighting over these two different ways of thinking, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of what I've been saying this whole time, is that each of these groups are fighting over these differences of opinion. And I know that may not even be the accurate way of saying it. My point is that we have a group that relies on a certainty principle, and then we have another group that is not certain at all. And that doesn't mean it's negative or bad. It just means that that's what we're looking at from a science perspective. Like, for instance, in the psychology realm, in neuroscience and all this other stuff, we don't actually have all the information. And I said it back, I just said it in the interview, that it doesn't matter how much information I got, there's always going to be new pieces to it. There's always going to be something else that's going to change something about the way I think about human behavior. Because anytime I learn something new, that will change the way I view it, or it adds to the way it may add to or detract from or anything. So you see that the scientific community, a person who is scientifically attuned, if you will, understands that there's always more information out there, that they can't always be certain. There's never a certainty level that most people want. So that's one way we can tell when somebody, we got folks running around that will flip off a principle and be very certain about it, despite the fact that they don't have any scientific background. And again, here's where some of this stuff breaks down, right? Because the level of uncertainty that goes into scientific studies, and we can talk about anything that's in the societal realm of consciousness. We can talk about the riots. We can talk about the COVID situation, masks or not masks, vaccines, everything. The scientific community is based on this uncertainty, and we don't like that. So we can form opinions about it, and then we take our certainty and place it in these arenas. And when we do that, we are creating that conflict. This is kind of one of the things that we do, and it's part of it has to do with the way that we view our world around us. So we have come to these ideas from that spiritual or religious route, where faith is a very important thing, and we have to take things on faith, meaning we have to be certain about things with a lack of evidence. And then we are taught the Greek method. It is the Greek idea of logic and intellect, where we're constantly testing. We're testing everything to make sure that we can, with some level of certainty, say, yes, this is the way this is, but we're never going to be able to be 100% certain. And for human beings, that can be difficult. So really, this may sound a little like rambling, but there is a level of uncertainty with certainty, so somebody who is very certain about things can often give off the vibe of uncertainty. And that again, you can look at that and take that how you will. I'm not going to go too much into that, but as we're talking about all this stuff that's going on, that's what I was thinking about the other day while I was walking. So I hope that doesn't confuse you any more than it sounds like I am. But if you do have some questions about it, please let me know. And then we'll be right back for the question of the day. Okay, and we're back. And today's question of the day is, and it doesn't come from any specific person. This is something that I hear all the time. I'm sure you've heard it. Is Trump crazy? Well, the short answer is no. And you may be a little surprised that I just said that. Our president presents, and I'm putting it this way because this is again just off of that certainty uncertainty, because there's no certainty. There is evidence, but there's no certainty. So Trump presents as somebody with what is called a personality disorder. Now, you've probably heard about this. It's been in the news. It's been, people have written articles about it. People fight over about whether or not he should be diagnosed. People fight over whether or not the diagnosis is correct. But there are two diagnoses that are pretty popular, and that is narcissistic personality disorder, and the other one is antisocial personality disorder. And these are called cluster B personality disorders. And I'm not going to go into this, but this is from the diagnostic manual, the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. At any rate, sorry about that. At any rate, he presents certain aspects that line up with these diagnoses. Now, there's another one that most people probably don't know about or probably haven't heard about, and that's called histrionic personality disorder. And when we look at that through the psychology and idea of mental illness and things, we're looking at those from that perspective, which makes the idea that he's crazy completely wrong. Okay, he's not crazy. What is going on is, if he does have these disorders, he is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. So everything he's doing it follows an order. Therefore, he's not just doing things just randomly. There's no randomness to these behaviors. These behaviors are expected and they are predictable. It doesn't really help with the consequences. It doesn't help with what's going on. It certainly creates uncertainty, especially when people are reacting to him and people are banning him from platforms. People either like him or they hate him, or he's got a very strong following. This is all part of, well, all the things that I've been talking about through the last several months. As human beings, we look for things that are the same. We look for the things that are different. If things are very much the same as we think based on our beliefs and values, we are naturally going to want to be aligned with those people. Does this take any responsibility away? No, absolutely not. There absolutely is not. It does not relieve him of any responsibility. Okay, so the whole riot situation that happened a couple of weeks ago, he joined in. He's responsible. So he's responsible for his decision making. But I just want to point out too that we also have to take some responsibility, because regardless of what you think or what happened in 2016, is he was elected president through our presidential election system, meaning that regardless of whether or not you believe in the system or not, there was enough people that were voting in his favor and put him in this seat of the presidency. And I know this is an uncomfortable situation. It's uncomfortable to talk about, and it's hard to talk about it from a non-judgmental position, because we all have our opinions about any of this stuff. But again, I'm trying to get you to take a step back and kind of look at this in a more objective place. And when I'm looking at his behaviors, I'm looking at his behaviors through that psychology lens, not any sort of he's a nutcase lens. That's not how I view this stuff. That's the answer to that question. Whether you believe it or not, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinions. And but that's what I think about. That's the way I think about it. I'm trying, I try to look at what's going on behind the scenes, and I do that with everybody, because what we do and what we present is not always what's going on. So I don't know if that really answered anything. That's my take on it. Again, if you have any questions, hit me up. If you want to tell me I'm wrong, that's fine. If you want to tell me I'm right, that's fine. But, let me know what you think. And we will return next week with a whole different set of stuff. So thanks again for joining us. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.